Ah, the usual thing. Oh, of just balance, please. Okay. Yeah, the usual thing of having this whole weirdly complicated new insight, and I appreciate it may appear very personal. My mala just broke, actually. I went into meditation after part one, and had to be very delicate with the mala, and I will have to re-render my mala. There is a kind of theme going on at the moment of re-renderment, in a way, on many levels, and it's not all comfortable, to be honest. And I will say something, though, about long periods of boredom or spending too much time on your own, this kind of thing. You never know. Every now and then, especially when you're living this kind of lifestyle, you're going to have some serious adventures, and I have, believe me. And I can tell you stories that you find hard to believe about people that I've met and things that I've experienced. I'm having to be more clean these days on this channel, or just more dignified. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah. Now, wonderful thing about doing a meditation after you've just laid out a kind of off-the-cuff dialogue is that your mind sort of reruns the whole thing through sort of subconsciously, and will prevent you with mistakes and things. So I was presented with mistakes in dialogue, things like saying Neolithic, I should have actually said hunter-gatherer. I should have explained that it wouldn't be Mesolithic. It's just lithic, whatever it's called. You know, at the beginning, I guess there's something about it. Really is the fall, isn't it? The inevitable fall of mankind. And it's funny, it's like the less wild we become, the more problems we have. We're still built for a lifestyle that is too wild, more wild than we can perhaps psychologically handle. It's uncomfortable to think about, and very dangerous, actually, you know. And but as I've been told many times, we have to deal with what is, not how we would like things to be. So anyway, I was going to say that the obvious conclusion to this would be to finish off something that I didn't quite explore or tidy up in that. And that is, I've noticed that there are just, now you could keep adding factors, all kinds of stuff, especially personally speaking. But if you're not good at sacrifice, it's like you're going to lose, because there has to be a sacrifice made in terms of a regular sleeping pattern. In other words, this is the time I'm going to sleep, this is how much sleep I need. And we're all different. Like, I need a lot, to be honest, especially after physical labor most days. So you have to be able to surrender this, along with the hydration, along with understanding the kind of food that you need, along with the kind of a knowledge of your own psychology, which will tie in with certain exercises and things that we're supposed to do and have done, along with a long-term conviction that will prevent you from damage due to the future tendency towards escapism, even if it just means the boredom of doing everything right for a long period of time. Now, obviously, whatever helps you think. Now, I can tell you that, like, if you go off the rails for a bit, it only takes a couple of days, sometimes perhaps even less, of cutting out all the things that you know are not good for your mind and implementing discipline, and you can achieve, you can re-enter that bliss quite rapidly. And I wouldn't be surprised, or rather I'm open towards the possibility that there's always something there ready to receive this renewed effort. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, to round this up, and it is the boring part, so I'm going to make it short, and that is, what I'm learning more and more is an inescapable set of sacrifices that have to be made, because it's like that kind of, it's that very modern, I want it now, I want this, I need this, and you just, it just doesn't happen, does it? The mind is not powerful enough that just simply wanting something will manifest it. That's New Age rubbish. But the mind can be made strong enough through sacrifice and right living, whereby through the application of diligence with this sacrifice, extraordinary things can be achieved. And you only have to know this once, but it doesn't necessarily make it any easier. It's just not an easy thing. I remember years back, I used to live in a council flat, and in the kitchen I had all paintings by Hieronymus Bosch in the kitchen, you know, as you do, as a normal 19-year-old man. And one of them, is it called? Bloody, I only looked it up the other day. I think it's just called Christ Carrying the Cross, some generic title. He probably didn't even come up with that himself, you know. I may have mentioned this before, because it's just one of those key images which just proves the power of the art, where Christ is carrying his cross. And I don't like to go too much into the Abrahamic stuff, but there is validity in there, even if, you know, there is a lot of damage that has been done. So you could easily swap out that image for Woden. It's the same principle. The idea of sacrifice. This is very much in the style of JP as well. Carrying the sacrifice, surrounded by ugly, jeering people that are creating the stress that makes you want to drop that cross. And they're all ugly. They're all ugly. They're symbolically ugly in this painting. Just go and look it up. It's an ugly sight to behold. And this is what trying to do anything constructive is like. They're trying to draw you in. It's trying to draw you in. And sometimes it will succeed. And as I stated before, sometimes you're going to be wiser for that knowledge. But the one thing missing from that painting, I think, is a mirror, whereby this image of Christ carrying the cross, surrounded by ugly, jeering people obeying for his destruction, just needs to look into the mirror and see his actual greatest enemy. Is that blasphemous? Well, whatever. See, I can't get through one video. Do you know, I got a text from someone earlier. If only I could look it up right now. I can't, because I'm speaking on the phone. I only met this person yesterday, and they told me that they found my tone very, I don't know whether it's something, the words to the effect of arrogant and authoritarian. And I just realised in that moment, like, this is just the way it's always going to be. So take care out there. What's coming up on this channel for my, how many subscribers I got? I think it's 48. Wow, 48. I'm sure over half of them just did it in a moment and never bothered looking at another video. And maybe half of what's left is probably people that I know, because I opened up to a few friends that won't bother watching it because like they're too busy. So maybe half of what's left, there might be, so we're probably getting down to 2 or 3 people that have even watched this long enough to actually give 2 hoots about the fact that I will be reading Weird Weaver chapter 1, or sorry, chapter 0. She grows very soon. Stomach shush. Shush. Damn healthy food. Hey, come on, don't take the mic. Bloody hell. Do you know what? This reminds me of a really amazing concept. As someone that's taken ayahuasca, I think 6 times, this is a bit gross, but hear me out. You know, there's this theory that there's like more than just one brain mind system, if you like, that because of all these nerves that travel, you know, down, along and from the spine, there's a kind of you in your gut. There's a kind of, you could call it a kind of, you know, a more primitive, but therefore probably in certain emergency situations, a more effective self. And I do believe that ayahuasca tunes into this. And I have noticed from time to time that my stomach will know, perceive or understand something before I do up here. I'm sure everyone's been through this. And there seems to be one here as well, doesn't there? So we could get in, we could draw all kinds of lovely occult diagrams to try and convey this image. It's a really nice idea, actually. But I believe this ties into the consciousness as well. And I love something that Dan Attrell said as well about not being simply a kind of head on a stick. We are part of a complete system with so many different layers and perspectives and sets of strategic domains, from the body, the mind, the soul, the spirit, the animal, if you like, or, you know, the angel and the monkey. All of these things. Now, when it comes to trying to achieve balance in a chaotic system whereby it's not merely the fashion, but the reality that this will not be perceived, understood or cared about. I just want to say, you know, the fact that anyone gets anywhere, I think they deserve a little bit of credit for sticking that out. And I know that whatever mistakes I've made, and I'm not going to forget the victories as well, and the need to make mistakes, I would be very compassionate towards anyone else who makes these kinds of efforts in the future, because you've got no idea just how difficult it's going to be. So what you're doing watching this, go and subscribe to I don't know, go and subscribe to. Do you know what I find the most arrogant? I'm going to be honest here. I just don't care. You know, I did bump into one of these Abrahamic types, and it don't matter which of the three it's coming from, although they're different in their flavors. There is something of an egotism, and this is when there are, you know, the kinds that are more intellectual and understated and polite, if you like. But anyone, when it comes, if they've got this idea that this is the way, the one true way, then it's one of those moments where you're sitting there and you're just like, I almost just can't get to grips with this narrowness of mind and this need to be right, which is so powerful. This need to be correct, that you have been seduced by this childish fairy tale, or at least the childish fairy tale version of a deeper and wider truth that you're unable to perceive. And talking about this movie, The Northman, obviously I made that video, I'd just come out, and I got a chance to watch some stuff and to really sit and think, and there were a couple of things that I kind of perceived slightly more personally and perhaps a little bit wrong, but I think that's kind of cool, because it really spoke to me emotionally in the cinema. And it's definitely best not to go into the lives of the actors or watch that kind of thing too much, because it will ruin things slightly. Best to keep it pure, just to experience the saga. But there's something about the ending of that movie. There's a way in which I understand deeply, intuitively, on a very deep level, on all levels, how real that is, and how that kind of now, it doesn't have to be centered within such a brutal reality as portrayed in the movie, but the idea of picking and sticking and fighting for a solution to the problem of the spiritual crisis predominantly in the West. No matter how small your contribution, people's internal struggles are always a struggle. I do believe that when all is said and done, this will matter, and we can meet our ends with this kind of dignity. And I don't think that the way that this is portrayed in myth is as unreal or metaphorical as we in the modern age sometimes would like to think, because I know from experience that these metaphorical, mythological images exist within their own domain of reality, and this is the only way of conveying particular types of understanding. And without going into anything personal too far, I got a message from someone the other day, and it's just a friend, and I just decided to be friendly. And I said, hey, with no expectation, I really mean this as well. Hey, how you doing? Maybe I'll see you again sometime. And the answer I got back was, when you become a Christian and live like Christ, then and only then. And I went onto YouTube and I found that clip, even though it's a bad one because they have to make a slightly different version of it so it doesn't get taken down. Just that ending sequence of the Valkyrie with the ornaments in the teeth, which is a really cool detail there. that scene where he's lying, you know, prone across the front of the horse, and he's just, you know, his dead body is just, you know, going up and down with the motion of the horse across that landscape, and then there's that fall, and then the horse picks up again, and there's something so beautiful about seeing that blonde hair streaking, you know, from behind that helmet, and the image of the spear and the cloak, and just something so primal that I couldn't quite, it just felt like I've seen, and I know I have seen similar things, and there are similar things that I can't quite grasp. But to me, this is an image that I will never forget. This, I say, this is definitely my favourite movie now, and I think that something really primal and real has been captured in that last scene that, if held onto and meditated upon, will unlock great strength. What do you think, stomach? Oh, you're being quiet now. Typical.